What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Backup Fantasy Sports. It is Tuesday, June 6th. My name is Ewan. On today's episode, we will be getting into some F1 fantasy with a best of the back markers update after the seventh race of the F1 season. I did this video earlier in the year after three races, but with the Spanish Grand Prix just happening, the Canadian Grand Prix is a couple of weeks away. Just wanted to get another video out, so let's update these best of the back markers and let's take a look at where we were in April when I last did this video. So these are my top three choices. I did about a 10-15 minute video, kind of went through everything, and I had Zhou Guanyu, Yuki Tsunoda, and Logan Sargent as my top three. So it hasn't turned out too bad since I did that video, but with another 4 races, our sample size has doubled in that time since the last one. Time to kind of update the standings, see where everything is, and what we are still thinking. But yes, that's where we were a month and a half, 2 months ago at this point. So who are the back markers? If you're watching this video, you know who they are by now, but we should just go through them one more time. Zhou Guanyu and Yuki Tsunoda here leading the way. Zhou Guanyu coming in at 4.7 million. He's having a fantastic season despite what that Alfa Romeo is providing him. His best race has happened 3 times. He's got 15 points in Bahrain, Australia, and just happened in Spain. And he is one of the best bang for your buck drivers on the grid. It's Alonso, Verstappen, Perez, and then it's Zhou Guanyu. He's getting 1.59 points per million per race. Very impressive stuff for the sophomore driver. Yuki Tsunoda here really coming into his own as the lead driver of the AlphaTauri. Nick De Vries, I believe, at the end of Drive to Survive on the last season said he's just going to crush it. He's going to come into AlphaTauri. There were some preseason testing where it's like, oh my goodness, we didn't know what a leader could be. We didn't know what was wrong with our car from the AlphaTauri squad. But Yuki has come in and he is just making us all forget about Nick De Vries, and rightfully so, because he's having a fantastic year. He's got the third most points gained plus overtake points on the grid at 6.6 per race. He's been all right in the last 3 races with 8 points, and his best race just came a month ago in Miami. So fantastic for Yuki. Probably would have had a better day in Barcelona if not for a slightly questionable 5-second time penalty that cost him some points. Other back markers here are Nico Hulkenberg and Nick De Vries, like I just mentioned. Hulkenberg's having a pretty good year. He's got a really good qualifying car. He's got 3 Q3 appearances, so that's most among these 6 drivers that we're going to be talking about in today's episode. 3.8 million, good budget option, 27 total points. Doing all right in the last 3 races. His best race was Australia with 11. Nick De Vries, this is like a teardrop here. After Nico, it's kind of, for me at least, it's Yuki and Zhou right now, then Nico in his own tier, and then Nick De Vries probably in his own tier, and then the 2 Williams guys that we're about to get to. But Nick De Vries, he's only got 1 race with negative points this year, so that's a positive, but it hasn't been the flying start for the AlphaTauri driver that I think he and some other F1 fans were imagining. But he's down to 4.5 million right now as well. And backing up the field, literally and metaphorically, I guess, I don't know, but with Logan Sargent and Alex Albon. Albon's finally fallen below 5 million. He was looking good there for a while. Most points of the season for Albon came in the first race at Bahrain, but he's got a couple of DNFs. That Williams car is just not doing well on all of these street circuits that we've just gone through in the calendar. But hopefully with some of the more typical F1 tracks coming up, we just had Barcelona, we've got Canada, we've got Austria, Silverstone, Hungaroring. Maybe this Williams can start to show us some steps in the right direction, because they really need it. They are struggling, just like Logan Sargent. 0 total points on the year. He's had a DNF. He had a qualifying issue. Best race was 11 points in Bahrain, but he does have multiple overtakes in 5 of the 7 races. It was pretty hard to find a encouraging stat for these guys. unfortunate that they are stuck in that car, as I do think Alex Albon is a talented driver. Logan Sargent's just, I mean, Williams are kind of sending him out there to learn every Sunday. So it's going to be interesting to see if these guys can progress and what their futures will be in Formula One. I think Albon's locked into a multi-year contract with Williams, but it'll be interesting to see how Logan Sargent does coming up here. Just a couple of tables here trying to illustrate how the season has gone. So this is total points for the season, kind of tracks it race by race. Obviously no Imola Grand Prix here as that was rained out. But kind of up and down all over the place. You can see Albon had a tough stretch here at the beginning of the year, but he's starting to score a little bit more positively. Tsunoda's had a rough time. He had the DNF in Azerbaijan, and then in Monaco, he was going so well and then slipped down at the end when it started to rain, and then he had the 5-second time penalty here in Spain. So I think we would have seen him kind of higher up in most of these rankings if the last couple of weekends had gone a little bit better for him. Zhou Guanyu, you see there, the dark blue one. He's had one down race, but everything else is trending positive. So he's one of my favorite options among the best of the back markers for sure. And then this next table that I've got going on here. So this is normalized points. So the last time I posted my best of the back markers video, I had a comment on Reddit. Sorry for forgetting your username or not looking it up, but they were just asking to take out some DNFs, driver of the day, fastest lap, that sort of stuff. Just like the bonus points. That way we can get a normalized view. So points gained plus overtakes, race places, qualifying points, all that stuff. So it's definitely the table kind of shrinks down and gets more condensed here, as you can see. So Tsunoda having a way better time of it there without the Azerbaijan DNF. Same with Albon. Joe, still, you see a lot of that dark blue kind of peaking above. So Tsunoda's beaten him 2 times. Joe kind of takes the lead here overall, and that's why those two are kind of in the top tier all by themselves. But this is the normalized points, no DNFs, no qualifying mishaps, but it does include positions gained, lost, overtakes, and race points overall. So you can see where we are at there. Hulkenberg kind of up and down. He's got a really good qualifying car, but it just does not translate to the race day. They both struggled in Spain, and by both of them, I mean Haas and Ferrari, since Haas is kind of like a toned down version of the Ferrari car at this point. And it was interesting to see both of those teams really struggle on Sunday in Barcelona. And here's the difference between those two tables. So total in blue, normal points in orange. And you can see the consistency or lack of consistency, like how much these DNFs really affect all of the drivers here. So Hulkenberg doesn't have a DNF this season, so he's just totally there, 27-27. Zhou Guanyu, he does have one DNF, but he also got fastest lap in Bahrain at the start of the season, so his points have kind of fluctuated a little bit there. Tsunoda's same with a DNF in Azerbaijan. Arguably could have had driver of the day if he finished in the top 10. Lewis Hamilton had a great day on Sunday in Barcelona, but Tsunoda was just flying through the field, having a great race, and that time penalty really stung at the end there, especially in terms of F1 fantasy points. Final table here, promise. It's kind of everything all wrapped up in one a little bit. So this is average qualifying position, average race position. The data rank is something I did myself. So I kind of took points per million, total points, normal points, and I kind of did season long and last 4 races, since it's like from the last video to this video, and I kind of put it all in a blender, and this is what popped out. So Joe came up on top there. He gains the most spots on race day from his qualifying position to his race position. So that's always handy too. Tsunoda has the highest average race position, but he also qualifies a little bit higher. So sometimes we don't want that. That's kind of how the game is this year. You don't want your guys to qualify too hard or too high, especially in a car like this. Albon's qualified position is a little bit skewed because he had a great day in Australia, but it hasn't been that great since. But as you can see, the data rank is kind of how I sorted it. So Zhou, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, De Vries, Albon, Sargent, and then their cost is all there on the right. Zhou and Tsunoda, so close to each other. Really, it's kind of pick whoever you want as long as you have the budget for it. And this is where we are in June. So I started it with where we were in April and ended it with where we are in June. So I still have Zhou and Tsunoda as my top two guys here. Zhou, for the reason, as I say right here, he's got the best long-term and recent data. I love that he does not get out of Q3 or Q2 at all. Like, he hasn't made it into Q1 at all this season, and he's got the highest Q to R gap. So he makes up the most positions on race day. That is fantasy F1 gold, and he's still one of the best bang for your buck options, like I was saying earlier. 4th best points per million on the season behind Alonso, Max Verstappen, and Sergio Perez. Second is Tsunoda here. In my opinion, he's probably got the best chance of like randomly finishing 6th in a race. If you remember, I think it was Australia when they had the restart, he'd actually found himself all the way up after the second red flag, and then they did the whole reset thing. So he kind of got hurt on that day as well. But his best average race finish is great for among the 6 back markers. He's really improving as a driver this season, really taking a big step. And he's also just leaving his teammate in the dust, making us all forget about Nick De Vries as an option. He's only 0.1 million more, but it should be at 500,000 because Tsunoda is just outperforming De Vries every single weekend. And third here is Hülkenberg. It could have been De Vries just because De Vries kind of qualifies so low that he doesn't lose as many points. Hülkenberg hurt my team this weekend. I went with him. I was trying to shake up the template. As you can see, my overall rank took quite a tumble this week as I tried to go with the Gasly Hülkenberg strategy instead of just sticking to the template with Lance Stroll. Lesson learned for Canada, I would say, but we'll get to that whenever I do that race preview. But yeah, Hülkenberg here in third. He has the best points per million rate in the last 4 races among the back markers here. So he's over, like, getting us a little value here. He's got a great qualifying car, so that's always encouraging to see, but it's just not translating to race day. But he is also the only back marker without a DNF this season. That's what it should say right there. So Zhou, Tsunoda, and Hülkenberg are my top 3, but Zhou and Tsunoda are just in a total tier of their own, and you can really choose whoever you want. I currently am planning to go with Zhou just because I really like the low qualifying spot and how many positions he gains. He's really getting the most out of that Alfa Romeo car right there. But that's going to do it. Just a really quick update, quick video this week just to kind of check in with the best of the back markers. So it's still Zhou and Tsunoda at the top, but I did switch out Sargent for Nico Hülkenberg for the June update. I'll try and do this a couple more times whenever there's some downtime. Maybe the summer break is the next best time, with that coming up in about 6-7 weeks. It's going to be here a lot sooner than we think, but we've got no race this weekend, and we've got the Canadian Grand Prix for the 16th, 17th, and 18th. So I'll definitely have a race preview out for that on probably early next week, Monday, Tuesday, hopefully at least by Wednesday, so we can all watch that. But yeah, if you like this video, if you like the channel, I'd really appreciate it. You just like it, subscribe. Would love to get to 50 subscribers by the summer break. So anyone that has already subscribed, really appreciate the support. And yeah, I'll post this on Reddit, and I'll be around during this mini hiatus that we've got going on before the Canadian Grand Prix. But once again, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next time.